welcome to the next episode of Remote Work Advocate. My name is Nadia. Again, as a reminder, today I would like to talk about a topic which is are we following others and that's why we are deciding to go remote as a company? Or are we following others as people and we see that people work remotely, we want to do it too? What is it? What's the reason? Should you go remote or shouldn't you go remote? Should you become remote first or maybe a hybrid company? Or maybe you don't even want to do it? See, that's a good question that you need to ask yourself up front. What I observe lately is the fact that so many companies are rushing into it. Yeah, we're gonna go remote. We'll go remote forever, for some time. We will be hiring more remote workers. Let's start with one thing in the beginning. Remote work and work from home, this is not the same thing, okay? It's this way like, okay, maybe that's gonna be a really stupid comparison here, but you have dementia and you have Alzheimer's, okay? Dementia is broad, Alzheimer is not that broad. So this is remote work and this is work from home. I'm sorry, that was just the only example that I could come up with. So anyway, you have to understand it up front. And I strongly encourage you to do some research before you start rushing into it, because it can either change your company's business totally, and if you are a remote worker, your approach can completely change your life, okay? And it's up to you how it's going to happen. So the first question that I encourage you to do is the reason. You have to find the reason. Why are you even thinking about remote? I am strongly for remote because you're watching Remote Work Advocate. That's obviously true. But I'm not saying that everybody has to do it, okay? If you can justify why you don't want to do this or why you want to choose a particular model of your either lifestyle or for your company, that's fine. But the basic thing is to start with the why. What I've observed for the past few years working within the HR field, also what was happening a lot with benefits and employer branding and attracting new candidates, companies were reaching out to me and they were asking me, okay, so my competitor has it, so I'm going to have it too. And my question is, what is unique about you? Why are you willing to attract new people? Why should they join your company? Okay, so start with the why. Don't follow. If you are thinking about going remote as a company because your competitor has it or other companies already do it, is it a good approach? So the first thing is you should really think about your business. You should really think about your company, taking into account its mission, its vision, short-term goals, long-term goals. I know that today we can't predict the future, but still, what's in it for you? Think about it at first and then start planning it. Another thing, I know that many companies turned remote or work from home. Yes, work from home. They turned to work from home overnight. And many of them say, okay, we're just going to leave it as it is right now. It's working well. What is well? Do you know what is well? How was it before? How is it today? Have you checked anything? Have you measured? What does it mean well? Well, because it satisfies you? Have you checked out any surveys? Have you checked out any statistics? What are you willing to achieve? What are you expecting from people? Unless you start with the basics, what you are expecting, what you're willing other to deliver, how you want them to work, then you can say, yes, they have fulfilled my expectations. And it really breaks my heart to see how so many companies tell me, yeah, we got it all figured out. We have just downloaded some tools and the people like it. We've done some research internally in our company and people say they like it. So yeah, probably it's, we're going to take it into account as a benefit. And that's wrong because remote work is not a benefit. Work from home is not a benefit. It's all about how we work, not really where we sit. So unless you start evaluating everything, how it was working before, towards what you're willing to achieve with this new model, then it's going to be a disaster. And I promise you, you will never be the best because you will follow others, you'll follow other companies, keep asking questions. That's what I observe. How has your company done it? How have these people done it? But how do you do it? Do you want to be special? Do you want to be unique? When you attract people to work in your company and you say, hey, work for us because we've got the best team, we've got great benefits, that's the best opportunity. Why is it the best? Are you able to even answer these questions? So that's why, again, referring to one of my previous episodes, it's absolutely crucial for you to perform a remote work audit. You can do it yourself if you know your company that well and you know how to start. You can seek assistance outside. I know that now it's really it's really happening that so many companies that are thinking about going remote, at least to some extent, they talk to other companies that have done it previously, and that's an amazing approach. So that's one thing you should start with up front. Don't do it yourself, okay? I think that there are things that we are really great or best at doing, but we can't do everything, okay? So if you talk to an expert who knows how to do it, who is going to support you, who's going to prepare a plan, well, you have to think about it this way, that this is going to affect your entire business performance. So in a nutshell, again, what should you do? How should you even start? So again, first you ask yourself the question why. Why you're even thinking about remote, okay? Once you have your answer, here you go. Then we can go to the next part, which is how, okay? So the how is evaluating how your company works internally, how it's working right now, and how you want it to work. So what needs to happen towards the previous standards that you had so that it functions either in a hybrid environment or if it has to function in a remote first, whatever you decide, okay? Even if you want to have the possibility to work from home twice a week and you had it once a week first, that's fine. But still, think about it as a process. Think about it as a model. So what you have to take into account is definitely communication. And you know what? Communication sucks everywhere. It sucks with companies that are not remote, but with companies that work on site. You know how many communication courses there are? I mean, tons of them, And you know how many people join? Tons of people join. Why? Because they have communication problems. If you can't master communication on site, you're not going to master it remote. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So communication processes is number one, okay? That's your number one, to evaluate the tools that you use to communicate, and not only to communicate, but to manage projects. And no, it's not this way that you're going to download tons of different kinds of software here right away and say, hey, we have it all. Do you know how the people will react to it? They don't want to fill out all that. Remote work, I'm telling you, is about how we work. How we work. We want to work smart. So in order to work smart, we have to make our lives easier. Everything that can be automated, let's automate it. And that's where tools jump in. But if you have too many tools and you don't know how to use them and you don't train your team, that's not smart work, that's stupid work, okay? And that's just something that will never make your company have a competitive advantage towards others, the ones that are smarter. Another thing is obviously your company culture. Are your people even ready? Do they even know what is expected? How do they work together? How do they cooperate together on site? What are you willing to achieve? And yes, it is possible to have a great company culture with hybrid teams and with remote teams. But, okay, it is possible, but it's not easy, okay? It's something that you have to prepare. And it's not this way that you're going to jump in with benefits or with ideas that, hey, we're going to do some, I don't know, gym classes together in the evening and you're going to force everybody into it. You know what company culture is? Company culture, this is something that comes from the people. And as much as the people are alive, also that's the way your company is alive. So it changes, okay? So check out what you have, what you're willing to have later on, and see how you can transition. It's a long process and it's difficult, but it's worth it, okay? Another thing is obviously the IT and the legal part, which I think many of you must have already mastered, taken into account the past circumstances. But anyway, it's going to be important. If you don't have the legal matters solved in a scalable way, then sooner or later you're going to have a problem, okay? So you have to take that into account as well. And obviously IT. I see this huge change that we unfortunately look at IT, when we look at crime, for example, okay? Then have you ever wondered what the percentage of crime in the cyber world is towards everything that is happening in the world? It's growing. So here we go. Everybody who works from home, everybody who works remotely can have that problem. So it is your absolute priority to make sure that everything from the IT perspective and cybersecurity perspective is in place. All right? I know I've said a lot. Maybe I've said some controversial things, and some people said to me during the past few months that what I say is utopian. It's not utopian. It's just about the fact that you have to start thinking, you have to start analyzing and drawing conclusions, okay? Because when you do things the way you did before and you're expecting a change, nothing is going to change unless you start creating the change yourself. And it is a long process, okay? So if we worked on site and now we want to work remotely, you can't question that. You can't say, okay, it's just temporary, it's not going to happen. You see, we had horses and they said it was sufficient. Then we had cars. Okay, do you remember when, you probably don't remember, probably I don't remember, okay, I'm not that old, but anyway, now when first computers were introduced and they really started being used, in the very beginning that was controversial. Who needs it? Who needs a computer to type? Everything is changing, so it's up to you whether you are going to create the change yourself or you're going to follow. Well, the choice is yours. Thank you so much for watching.